Hi crafty friends, this is card number 48 in Full Deck Challenge 2. The prompt is black and white. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but I have gathered a whole lot of black and white goodies that I have found in my craft stash. I'm going to start by preparing my card. I'm going to add a piece of tissue paper to the face of the card. I'm using Mod Podge for this, and the type of tissue paper is the type you'd get for gift wrapping. Adding the tissue paper helps to add tooth to the card so that you can add wet medium on the top. Putting wet medium like paint directly onto the face of the card, because it has a shiny surface, will usually not adhere really well and will peel off eventually. Some people do sand the face of the card to get rid of that shine a little bit and to allow them to paint onto it. I prefer the tissue paper because I also like the way it tones down the card suit. Now that the Mod Podge is dry, I'm going to tear off the excess tissue paper. And now I'm going into crazy town again. I'm going to tear this card in half. I'm then going to reattach one piece on top of the other so we have a beautiful rough end. I've stitched this together using a sewing machine. I know it's crazy, but it's different. I recently used this fabric in another project. It is black with some white text, which I really like. So since we're going with a black and white theme, I'm going to add a piece of this to this project. This fabric was from an old shirt, a shirt that could no longer be worn. And instead of throwing it out, of course, it made its way to my craft room. I also have some white fabric with black markings, so I'm going to add that too. I'm just going to add it across and I'm going to staple it onto my card. You could also use double-sided tape or glue, whichever you prefer. And this will form the base of our design. We will build from here, so even if we cover all this up in the end, it was our starting point. I have this collage photo book. It is by a company called Collage Soup, and it's a book filled with collage pages that you can use in your work. This is a black and white style. There are very many in the range. I'll put a link in the description box below. And although I'm only using one small piece today, I am very excited to use more of the pages going forward. I thought it was quite fitting because I'm working on a black and white. So I'm finding a page that's got a nice design of sorts, and I'm going to punch out a circle with my round punch. And this will be part of the decoration that I'm going to put on my altered playing card. More from the Collage Soup collage books coming soon. And then I have this piece of acetate. It actually came in a roll and it looks like the old-fashioned negatives from photos. I'm going to add a piece of that in the background. And then I have a little mini playing card. This was actually in the Christmas cracker that we had from a recent Christmas. And although you can't really see it in the video, it does have a bit of a red tinge to the front. The background or the back side of this little card is red. And that color has seeped through because they're obviously really cheaply made. So I want to try and tone down that red by putting a piece of tissue paper on top. In the meantime, while that's drying, I also have a slightly bigger one. And I'm trying to see if that will perhaps suit better in my little collection of black and white goodies. I decided to go with a slightly longer piece of the acetate film strip only because I wanted to stick out the bottom a little bit as well. Now I'm just trimming off the excess tissue paper from my little mini playing card. And I'm preferring the smaller one, and I'm just going to rough up the edges slightly, just in two places. I'm tearing it and sort of rolling it over so it looks really used and worn. And then I'm going to edge it with a little bit of black. I'm using a watercolor pencil. I just dip the point into some water and then just go around the edge of the card. We want it a little bit uneven and hand drawn. You could also use ink if you prefer. I also want to add some doodle style leaves. These are from my Art Stacks kit with link in the description box below. I've just fussy cut those out and I'm going to place them to the left of the cluster, and I'm going to continue building on this. I'm going to punch a smaller circle from some book pages. I'm going to add that to the front of the larger circle. This too I'm going to edge with the black watercolor pencil. I want to add some additional texture, so I'm going to add some thread. I'm using some black bunched up thread and I'm putting that behind my larger circle, and then I'm also taking a piece of white thread and putting that underneath the smaller front circle. If this prompt wasn't strictly black and white, I would probably use a bright colored thread instead of black and white thread. I would use a bright pink or a bright turquoise. I think that would look great and would contrast so beautifully against the black and white. I'm attaching my acetate film strip with a piece of double-sided tape. I'm then going to add all my other elements using a hot glue gun. Here I'm just using a baby wipe to clean off some black pencil smudges that I accidentally got onto the little card from my fingers. I'm now going to start sticking things down with the hot glue. I also want to add a wax seal to the project for some additional interest. I'm going to attach the two doodle leaves with the wax, so I'm not sticking those down separately. I'm using some white wax for this, and once I pour it on, I'm going to do a small sprinkling of iridescent glitter, give it a bit of a sparkle. Once I've poured the wax and placed my little wax seal on top, I'm going to do a few additional drops of the wax just here and there over the rest of the project. I love continuing my elements sometimes. Once the wax is dry, I will remove my seal, and what I'm going to do is take a black Posca pen and just go over the design. It's a simple leaf design on this wax seal, and I just want to add some definition. Another favorite addition of mine for any of my mixed media is paint splatter. Of course, I'm going to add a small amount to this project too. I'm using my watered down black acrylic paint, and I'm going to put just a few drops in the top left section. I'm covering the rest so it's not got any splatter on it. I feel we also need a sentiment to finish this off and balance it. I have this feel free one that I really want to use, so I'm going to add a frame around this too using the black watercolor pencil just to help define it and stand out a little bit, and then I'm going to glue that down to the bottom right section. I'm feeling it's sticking out a little bit too far on the right. I'm just going to trim that off. Let me show you a close-up of my altered playing card so you can see all the details and all the layers. I really hope you enjoyed this video and were inspired to create your own with a black and white prompt. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.